Hey, it's Sheeta D coming to you from Mexico City, where I live, to talk to you today about how to create a debt repayment plan that actually works. If you don't know me, if you're new to this channel, I am a career break coach. What I do is I help women ditch burnout and live the life they love as they travel the world. A lot of my clients travel for months, for years, and even in a pandemic, people are still planning their time away. So don't think that because we're locked down now, you can't think about what life would be like if you quit your job and travel the world. It's never too early to start planning. It's never too early to start saving, and it's never too early to start paying down debt so you feel a true sense of freedom when you're out there traveling the world. And that's what we're talking about today, coming up with a debt repayment plan that you will actually stick to. So let's go. If you're watching this as a Black woman, you are probably underpaid or underemployed. There's like a 95% chance. And yes, I just made that number up, but if you're watching this, tell me it's not true. If you're not a Black woman and you're watching this, I don't care what you think about that stat I just made up, so you don't have to comment about whether it's true or not. Nobody asked you. It's strictly for Black women. Okay? All right. So why does that matter? I want you to increase your income. Like, we're gonna talk about debt repayment plans, what you need to do, but I also want you to focus on increasing your income, because increasing your income is one of the fastest ways to get out of debt. So how do you do that? Try to negotiate a raise. You're underpaid. You know you're underpaid. Everyone in the organization knows you're underpaid. Negotiate a raise. Maybe it's not possible, but you don't know until you try. Ask for a promotion. You can do your boss's job, can't you? Most of us can. You can do your boss's job. So, if there is a promotion available in your department, if there is a move that gets you maybe into another part of an organization, but it's like a step up, shoot for it. The worst they can tell you is no. And enough no's from the organization you work for will let you know exactly how they feel about you and exactly what your future will look like in that company. If you ask for things that you are reasonably, that a reasonable person would say, yes, you deserve this, and they keep telling you no, quit that job, quit that job, quit that job. That's my dance and my song. I do not sing or dance professionally. I apologize, you had to sit through that, but quit that job. Which brings me to point number 3, look for another job. If you're working at a place where you are undervalued, underpaid, underemployed, what is the harm in looking for another job? Increasing your income. I feel the tension coming from you right now at the thought of asking for a raise or asking for a promotion. I feel it. But increasing your income is the fastest way to pay off debt. More money. As long as you don't let lifestyle inflation, you don't start buying more things because you have more money, as long as that doesn't happen to you and you can keep your spending the same, or maybe you lower it, increasing your income is the fastest way to pay off debt. And so think about ways that you can increase your income that don't involve a side hustle. Don't you work hard enough at your day job? I'm not saying you shouldn't side hustle, but I'm saying instead of being undervalued at your day job and side hustling to make up for that, make them pay you what they owe. You know, you deserve more. I have never seen an overpaid Black woman. Ask for more. Never, never in my life. Ask for what you deserve. You might not get it, but you will get information. And information is power. So, step number 1, increase your income. Step number 2 is to track your spending. So a lot of us, a lot of times, are like, I spend, but I couldn't tell you, like if I asked you, how much did you spend on eating out? Not groceries, not everything, but eating out last month. Maybe because we're in a pandemic and we're eating out a lot less, you might be able to tell me. But how much did you spend on Amazon last month? I could not tell you that. I could look in the Mint app, which I use to track my spending, and tell you, but off the top of my head, I don't know. Should I be more aware of that? Yes, I should. We all should. I want you to track your spending for at least a month and then make a budget. Now, making a budget is one of the core pieces of paying off debt because you need to know where your money's going. But if you make a budget before you've tracked your spending, you're kind of just making stuff up. And when you make a budget, so I don't track my spending. So it's March. Say I make a budget in March, guessing at the numbers. And then when it gets to the end of the month, I look at it and I'm like, I didn't hit any of this. I didn't know a good starting point for the numbers for my budget because I didn't track my spending. So track your spending for at least a month and then create a budget. Because when you get to the end of the month and you have blown your budget in multiple categories, it's demoralizing. You don't feel motivated to go ahead in the next month because you're like, I didn't even come close to meeting my budget this month. But how could you if you didn't know what you were spending? So track your spending is the first step. Making a budget, step number 2. First step, second step. I don't know what this was. When you're making your budget, see if it's your first budget. You don't have a budget right now. You've been spending whatever you want, but you're going to track your spending and then you're going to make a budget. When you make a budget, see if you can aim for an amount of spending to cut down. So say you're spending $1,000 a month. I know you're spending more, but that's okay. Say you're spending $1,000 a month. Aim to cut out 20%, say, so that in your budget, you've budgeted for $800 a month. And you're gonna figure out where you can cut out that 20% of your spending overall. So track your expenses this is March, track them in March. Or whenever you're watching this, track them for 30 days, 45 days, whatever it is, until the new month starts. And you get at least 30 days of information. Track your spending. The month you make the budget, pick a percentage that you'd like to cut out of your spending, your overall spending. Is it 20%, 30%, 50%? Go wild. 5%, whatever the number is, be true to yourself. So that's part of what I want you to do is when you make your budget, when we talk about debt, you know yourself better than I could ever know you. And so I can't tell you what the right number to cut out of your budget is, cut out of your spending is. You know that. You know whether you're the kind of person that can spend $4,000 one month and the next month cut it by 50% and only spend $2,000. Or if you're more like I can cut 5% and that is it kind of person. Pick a number that feels right to you. For me, it would be 20%. I can cut out 20% without noticing it. I can find that in my budget to cut out. Whatever your number is, do that and cut that out of your budget. Okay, next, moving on to the method that I want you to use to pay off debt. And if you think you know what I'm gonna say, you're partly right, partly wrong. Got a little twist to it. First, when you're making your debt repayment plan, you have to figure out exactly how much you owe to everybody. Do you have a mortgage? Do you have student loans? Do you have credit cards? Do you have store loans? Do you owe your Auntie Faye for that loan she gave you back in the day? Anything you owe to anybody, you want to write it down. You want to write down the total balance. You want to write down the minimum monthly payment, and you want to write down the interest rate. That's all information you need in order to figure out how you're going to pay off your debts. Do not forget anybody. Do not forget even if it's something that you borrowed money from a friend and they were like, pay me back whenever. We are at whenever. We gonna get ourselves clear and clean. We are not forgetting anything we owe to anybody, even if they are not going to send you to collections because your great Auntie Faye loves you so much. She would never do that. We are going to pay her back with this plan. There are 2 really popular methods for debt repayment plans. One is the debt snowball and one is the debt avalanche. In the debt avalanche, you line up all of your debts in order of the highest interest rate and you pay off those debts, paying off the highest interest rate one first. That way you pay less interest over time than you would with the debt snowball. I prefer the debt snowball for a reason I'll tell you in a minute, but just saying that I prefer the debt snowball brings up feelings. I feel feelings, they're feelings. because the debt snowball was popularized by Dave Ramsey. That's probably the only time you hear his name on this channel because I cannot stand him. I used to listen to his radio show when it was just a radio show before all the videos and everything, back in the day with my mom. And every once in a while, we'd be like, is that racism we hear? Is that? We'd be in the car driving somewhere listening to Dave Ramsey because I knew he had solid financial advice, but he would say things and I'd be like, that felt racist. What's happening? What's happening? Like the way he talks to people, he's rude. And the way, abrasive, I'll say he's abrasive. And the way he talks to people and talks about people, you can see his value, you hear his value slipping out in what he says, and I don't like. I do not see it for Dave Ramsey. Here, there, anywhere, I do not. So, when we talk about the debt snowball, and if you are interested in this concept, what I want you to do is, if you're watching this as a Black person for your own mental health, what I want you to do is find other people besides Dave who are talking about the debt snowball in great detail and can give you more information, because I think he's toxic. And I would never send you to someone toxic to learn more because I care about you. What is the debt snowball? In the debt snowball, you rank your debts from smallest balance to largest balance, and you pay off the smallest balance ones first. And the reason behind that is because once you get that smallest one, say your smallest debt is a $200 store card. Once you get that paid off and it's out of the way, you have more momentum to go through, and you keep paying off the small ones, and then it's just maybe one large one, and you can get rid of that. And part of a debt snowball is paying the minimum to all of the balances, all of the debts, except for the one you're focused on. So that in the debt snowball would be the smallest balance. In the debt avalanche, it would be the largest interest rate. You put every penny you have, anything you can find, you put it towards the one on the top of your list, whether that is the smallest balance or highest interest rate. You're taking money, anyone you can find, and putting it towards that so you can pay it off quickly, and then you move to the next one on the list, and then you put all the money towards that. And when you keep going down the list as you pay off debts, and you feel that, like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm making things happen, I'm paying off debt. You feel that, you work your way through. The debt snowball method is how I got out of debt. I will admit it. The advice is solid, the messenger is trash. That was about Dave Ramsey, if you couldn't tell. I have strong feelings. Take what you need and leave the rest. I took the debt snowball advice. I used it to get out of debt. But I want to recommend that you add a twist to the debt snowball. So this is what I said. If you thought you knew what I was going to say, there's a little bit of a twist. I want you to do something differently. I want you to still line up your debts from smallest to largest. I want you to actually write them down, who you owe and what you owe them. Don't forget Auntie Faye and your friend who was like paying back whenever, put them on the list. And then look at the list and see if anything feels bad. Like when you look at your debts, is there one that makes you feel bad? Is there one that energetically is like, ugh, I hate that debt? Maybe it's a store card and you bought something and you didn't need it and you regret that purchase. Maybe it's the money to Auntie Faye because she really needs it and you know it, but you don't have to give it back to her yet, but you want to. Like whatever that debt is, that energetically just gives you the, pay that out first. And then you won't have to worry about it again. Even if it is the biggest debt you have, focus on, I hope it's not. I hope your biggest debt isn't the one that you feel worse about because, whew. But focus on paying the one that makes you feel, like gives you negative feelings. I hope all of your debt doesn't give you negative feelings. Some of mine, I was like, it is like my student loans. I was like, it is what it is. Y'all lent me the money when I didn't know better, and y'all knew better, and I didn't. It is what it is. I think for me, the one that felt the worst was one of those credit cards that I opened on campus when I was a freshman in college, where they were like, come get this free hat or Frisbee or pizza or whatever it was. That one, I was like, this was a mistake. Let me pay this off. and get rid of it. So that's what I did first, was that like energetically, let me clear you out of here. So I want you to debt snowball, but first I want you to pay off the ones, move those to the top of your list. The ones where you're like, this is icky. This is icky debt. I don't feel good about this debt. Clear those out. Okay, if you have an icky debt, you don't have to tell us what it is, but let me know if you have one where you're like energetically, I know this sounds real woo-woo, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are things in our life, that have a lot of bad energy associated with them. Let me know if you have a debt below. In the comments, let me know if you have a debt that makes you feel bad. We don't tell us what it is or what the balance is, but if you do, I am curious. If you're using the debt snowball method, even if you're using my modified method, I want you to use a debt snowball calculator to play around with, to see exactly when you'll get out of debt. So you'll have an actual date, and also to see how much money you can put towards your debt and adjust that getting out of debt date. So can you put extra money? Can you find some extra money from places? And if you do, how much sooner will it get you out of debt? There is a good debt snowball calculator at vertex42.com. I'll link to it in the comments. I think I've looked at it. I think it requires a little bit of instruction, a little bit of guidelines, a little bit of help to understand exactly everything you can do with that calculator. I am not doing that today. We're not gonna talk about that. I'm not. But I have a recommendation for you. If you want to know everything that the debt snowball calculator at vertex42 can do for you, I want you to go to a channel called Operation Net Worth, and her video is titled, hold on, Debt Snowball Part 3, my favorite debt snowball calculator with my real numbers. That's her video. I'm going to link to it below. Check it out, and she explains how to use the vertex42 snowball calculator and all the different things you can do with it. And I think it's a good explanation. So if you want to use that calculator, I would definitely go there and check it out. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're going to increase our income. We're going to track our spending. We're going to budget. We're going to ignore Dave Ramsey. We're going to use the debt snowball to pay down our debt. We are going to customize it. We're gonna call it custom. We're gonna customize it to pay off all the icky debt first, and we're going to use a debt snowball calculator to track our debt repayment plan. So that, I guess, is a 7-step plan that I think if you've tried to get out of debt before and you've struggled, a lot of it is being persistent and being consistent. And so you cannot give up when it gets hard. You cannot give up when it feels like there's no progress. And there are a few different things I told you today that I think will make it a little easier to stick to your plan. Paying off that icky debt first really helps. Seeing what you can cut out of your spending is gonna help you. Negotiating a raise. Or getting a job where they value you. Or at least value you more than the last job, because Black women, I see you. Been there, not doing that anymore. This is my advice for you. I hope it helps. If it did, please subscribe to the channel. Please give this video a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that this was helpful for you, and they will show you my next video on this topic. And that's it for me today. I'll see you next time. Bye.